details, provide some context for the people that tend to be in the program. At last count, I just checked, we have just over 90 people who have either completed the program or are in our current cohort that will be finishing up next summer. And as Melissa just said, we have a very strong program where we've only had, I believe, 3 or 4 people out of the 90 plus students having to leave early. So it's been a very popular program, a very strong program, and it's a program that we are very excited to be able to continue to offer teachers and others here in Prince George's County to be able to really address the linguistic, cultural, and academic needs of English learners across grade levels, across disciplines, throughout the entire county of Prince George's. So just give you a bit of an overview of what the program is. Oh, and before I continue, John is going to be monitoring the chat and the Q&A. We will be saving all questions for the end. So if you have any type of question at all about anything that I'm going through, please feel free to put it in the chat, and we will be able to address that after we get through the PowerPoint tonight. So
I'm sorry, could we also just mention that we are recording this and we'll post it on the frequently asked questions later. People are having technical issues and I want them to not be afraid to jump off and jump back on if they have to.
Fantastic. Thank you, Kathy. So as I mentioned, this is a partnership between the Prince George's County Public School TESOL office and the University of Maryland at College Park's Teaching English to Speakers of Other Languages program. And this is a post-baccalaureate certificate program. It's a 12-credit program that is a partial scholarship program. So 80% of your tuition fees do get paid for by taking this program. This particular post-baccalaureate program is also offered to any student on campus. But of course, if you're not part of the Prince George's County cohort specifically, you unfortunately do not get to be part of having the 80% of tuition fees paid for you in taking part of this program. The people who tend to come to this program, the target participants for this program, most of them, I'd say easily 98% of our participants are teachers. And this is meant for people who are teachers and people who work with English learners on a regular basis. We have people from across elementary, middle, and high schools, as I mentioned earlier, across all content areas. We also have people who are special education teachers, reading recovery teachers. We've had teacher leaders. We've had avid people who also take part. And we've also had a few administrators who really want to know how to better equip themselves with the tools needed to work with English learners. So we've had a wide variety of people who have taken this program and have successfully gone on to being able to work with English learners in their content areas. Some people have chosen to actually leave their content areas and become ESOL teachers. That, of course, is not a requirement at all, but some people have chosen to do that. And other people have gone on to become department chairs and teacher leaders, really focusing on English learners. So we've had quite a variety of people being participants in this particular program throughout the first 4 cohorts. Now you'll notice I have a little asterisk here. If I have anyone who is an administrator or is not a teacher on a regular basis or a teacher leader on a regular basis, we do open that up to being eligible to take this program. The only thing is that you have to be able to show us that you will be able to do actual teaching with English learners, because as I explained in just a bit, the majority of work in this program is very much on the ground. You will be doing actual work with English learners on everything you'll be learning throughout the program and reporting it back to your classmates, reporting it back to your professor, and really thinking about how can you better work with English learners. So that's the only caveat. You really need to be able to have access to teaching English learners on a regular basis. It does not have to be a whole class of English learners. It can be a few English learners. But again, you have to be able to do that in order to really get the most out of this program and in order to actually complete the program as well, because that is the majority of the assignments that will be mandatory for the program. So what are the actual classes for the next cohort? Well, as I mentioned, this is a 12-credit program, meaning that it consists of 4 courses of 3 credits each. All of these are graduate level courses. The program itself runs approximately the middle of July to the middle of July. So it's one calendar year where you are taking one course per semester, and that includes summer sessions. We begin with the first course in the middle of July. So I can tell everyone right now that the first course for this next cohort that will be beginning next summer, these dates are set. So anyone who is interested in becoming a member of this cohort and wanting to apply to the cohort, you already have the dates that are mandatory for attending for the summer. We know right now with COVID, things are in complete flux in terms of are people traveling, are people not traveling, but these dates are definitely set. Historically, our summer sessions were always 100% in person. And we do this purposefully because we want people to get to know each other in their cohort, know who they're going to be working with throughout the entire year. And it has been extremely successful. People have really enjoyed being able to work with people face to face in this first course, just to be able to understand who it is that they are actually interacting with throughout the rest of the year that they're working with people in the program. This past summer, of course, with COVID, that changed a little bit. We did not meet in person at a school location. Instead, the first course was 100% synchronous via Zoom. So the first course, which is second language acquisition, which focuses a little bit on the theory and foundation of working with English learners, this is our 3-week intensive course in the summer. It's always Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 9 a.m. to 1:15. And as I just said, usually it is 100% in person, except that this last summer it was 100% synchronous on Zoom during the same times, 9 to 1:15, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. This first course takes place over the course of 3 weeks. So it's a very intensive course, but it's very much workshop style. So a lot of group work, a lot of work in the class. During the week, you do not have a lot of homework outside of class because you're going to be very tired taking the class for 4 hours a day. So we respect your time in the evenings not to have to rush to do work, but there is work on the weekends. So we definitely tell people that when you're taking the program, over the course of the 3-week summer class, you don't want to be focusing on anything else. And again, normally that would mean no traveling during that time, no going anywhere during that time. So just something to take into account. It's a very good introductory course because it's a course that really introduces the students to who are the various researchers that have been able to explain to us how second, third, fourth, fifth languages are learned. How is it different from how we learn our first language? And what is it that teachers need to know practically from the theories, from the research, in order to really understand and ascertain what their English learners are going through on a day-to-day basis. This first course also allows participants to really think about their own language learning experience. So for many, if not most of you, I'm sure you've actually taken the second language, either in high school, if it was Spanish 1, Spanish 2, Spanish 3. For some of you, maybe English is the second or third language. For some of you, maybe you've lived abroad, or maybe you're bilingual, you were raised bilingual. This course also allows you to really look into yourself, to really think about what do I believe, based on my own experiences, about the second language acquisition process, and how might that influence what I end up doing with my students in the classroom. So it's a very good foundational course. It's a very intensive course. Another reason why we want to do it in person, just because you'll have regular access to the instructor Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, as well as with your colleagues. Following that first course, then we get into the academic year courses. So course 2 and 3 are 100% online asynchronous, meaning that you have set deadlines for assignments, you have set deadlines for readings, but you choose to do them whenever you want. If you want to work at 5 a.m., you want to work at 2 a.m., you want to work during your lunch period, it's completely up to you as long as you meet the deadlines for the professor that is set out for you. The second course takes place over the course of the entire University of Maryland fall semester. I just want to clarify that. You'll be following the UMD calendar for the fall and spring courses. So we always begin the week before Labor Day for the fall class, and the fall class ends approximately the middle of December. The spring course begins the end of January and goes through approximately the middle of May. The second course is called Methods of Teaching ESOL. And what this second course does is we understand that the majority of you are already experienced teachers with a plethora of experience in the classroom working with a variety of learners. We look at this course as an opportunity for you to adapt what you are already very comfortable with in order to again meet English learners' linguistic, cultural, and academic needs. So we're not reinventing the wheel with this course. With this course, we're providing you with the tools to look at what you've already created and to become intensive reflective practitioners on how you can adapt what you've already been doing to really help your English learners. And again, as I mentioned before, this is where it is extremely important to make sure that you have regular access to English learners, because the majority of the assignments, you will be interacting with English learners in real time. So different ways of approaching assignments, assessments. You will be working with them and you'll be reporting back to the class. How did it go? What worked? What didn't? Why do you think it didn't work? How does it connect back to the theories and the research that you did in course one? A very popular course, the current cohort is in the middle of their methods course right now, and all I'm hearing is positive feedback right now from the current cohort about how practical it is and how excited they are about applying the theory from the summer course to their actual teaching, even though it's online. So another thing to take into account. The third course is a relatively new course to the university. We created this course 5 years ago because we found that it was very important for teachers of all content areas, of all grade levels, to really look at themselves as instructors of literacy. Because in fact, teachers, regardless of their backgrounds, are teaching literacy, even if it's 10th grade biology, if it's general kindergarten, if you're teaching art, if you're teaching music. There are components of literacy that we need to take into account across the curriculum. And working with English learners, we also have to take into account the notion of biliteracy, components of their home language or first language or previous educational experiences. How can we bring that to the forefront when we're really working on our content areas? So this third area is really focusing on literacy work with English learners across the curriculum, across grade spans. Again, very similar to course 2, following the same format, 100% online, asynchronous. All of the assignments, very practical, to be done with the English learners, and then reporting back. The fourth class brings us to summer 2022. So this fourth class, Assessment in the Second Language Classroom, is actually going to parallel the formatting of the first class. This class begins approximately 1 week after you are completed teaching for the academic year. So this starts usually June 28th, June 29th, and goes through the middle of July. Again, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 9 to 1:15, and you're following the same format. Usually, in pre-COVID times, 100% in person. For this upcoming summer, we're not sure. We are planning on potentially doing 100% online synchronous Zoom because we still want that face-to-face interaction with our colleagues. Think of course 1 and course 4 as bookending the entire program. You're coming back together after being with each other for almost 12 months and working with English learners through all this information for almost 12 months, and you want to really get the crux of assessment. When we're talking about assessment, we're talking about our formative assessments, but we're also talking about MCAP. We're talking about the high school assessments. We're talking about if we're working with young learners, if we have any preschool or kindergarten teachers here, we are talking about the KRA. We're talking about, do those various assessments that are either summative or our own formative assessments, do they meet our English learners' linguistic, cultural, and academic needs? And if not, how can we best prepare our learners to address those summative assessments that maybe we don't have much wiggle room to work with? But even more so, how can we address our own personal formative assessments? And this final course, again, brings together course 1, 2, and 3 as sort of a finale. And then Once this course is over, you're officially done with the program. So these are the 4 courses that are the entire post-baccalaureate certificate program. Now we get into the fun part. What are the costs? So for this program, currently, the cost for an outreach program, which is what this is not an on-campus program, this is an off-campus program, is $731 per credit. This is a 12-credit program. It's a post-baccalaureate certificate program, which would bring us to $8,772 for tuition at the current cost, but that does not include any extra fees or books. Some of the fees I can tell you about right now. If you make it to the final round of admissions, which we will talk about in just a minute, you do have to pay the $75 application fee to the University of Maryland. Each academic semester, including summers, you have an academic fee for $76.50. And then, of course, each course has its own textbooks. Our professors are very mindful of how much textbooks are, and our professors are also very mindful of making sure that we choose textbooks that also have e-book versions of that. So the textbooks are very relatively low cost. So you will not have anything too expensive for that. I believe for the first course, the textbook is at most, I think, $35 for a paper copy, less so if you get an ebook. Now, one thing which I do want to mention is that currently these are for the 2020-2021 school year costs. We will not know until April if anything increases in terms of tuition or fees. April is when they decide, and then that goes into effect on June 1st. I can tell you right now, this is the same tuition cost as last year. So with everything going on with COVID, there was no increase in tuition. Prior to that, there was an increase in tuition almost every year since we started. I do not know if there will be an increase in tuition this upcoming year based on where we will be, but just keep that in the back of your mind. And if there is an increase in tuition, the last increase was from $717 a credit to $731 a credit. So that will give you an idea of how much it could go up on average if it goes up at all. So this is the macro version of our costs. Here's the actual micro version of what you need to take into account. First of all, because this is an outreach program with a school district and it's a cohort program, our department, the Department of Teaching and Learning Policy and Leadership, provides a 10% tuition reduction on all credits that are taken. So again, this is something that's different from if you want to take this program as just a regular on-campus student. There is no 10% scholarship that's given. As part of the Prince George's program specifically, we do offer a 10% scholarship. The Prince George's County TESOL office actually offers a 70% scholarship for tuition from Title III funds, which brings the total to 80% of your tuition paid for in this particular program. The remaining 20% of tuition, plus all fees and plus all textbooks, is the student's responsibility. So as you can see down here on the bottom, here is the breakdown. Everything that's in blue on the bottom will give you an idea of how much you will be paying out of pocket per credit, per semester, and for the entire program. And just as a reminder, the entire program, just tuition alone, $8,772. All of you will only be paying $1,754.40 for tuition. So that's quite a reduction for this. And again, the little note at the bottom, this is based on current academic year tuition for outreach programs. It could go up slightly after June 1st. We will not know that until April. Okay, now we get to admissions, and Kathy, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thanks. So what we've developed is a 2-part admission process. The first part is the PGCPS admission. So before you submit anything to the University of Maryland, you're going to submit an application to our office through a Google Classroom, which you can find the code on the frequently asked questions document that has been shared. I'll also put the link in the chat. So you will go to the Google Classroom, you will complete all the documents required there, including an application, And then we will, I think I just got ahead of myself. So in order to apply, you should have these basic requirements. You should have worked for PGCPS for at least 2 years. That's not to say we haven't made exceptions to that, but our ideal is that you have had at least 2 years of teaching experience. You must work directly with English learners, and Drew explained the rationale for that. It's directly linked to the coursework you're going to be doing. You will need 2 letters of recommendation, and one of your letters must be from a principal or a supervisor, and a current resume. And I'd like to emphasize current resume because we get a lot of resumes that have unrelated objectives on them. So just take a few minutes to review your resume to make sure that it relates to this specific program. So basically, we've discussed who's eligible: certified classroom teachers, administrators. We've had someone from Howard B. Owens in our previous cohort, in our 3rd cohort, I believe. So we've had a lot of different types of teachers participating. If you don't see yourself on this list and you're not sure if you qualify, just reach out to me or to Drew, and we will help you out.
So as Kathy said, this is part 1 of the admissions process. Once Prince George's County gets all of that information from you initially, Prince George's County goes through and decides who goes on to, I guess we can call part 1B, which is an interview process. We will be interviewing semifinalists for the program. And the reason we do that is because we tend to get many more applications than we have spots for the program. And we want to just get to know people who are interested in the program, really get to know you face to face. And of course, if we're in the middle of COVID at the time, we will be doing those synchronously online. The people who are in the interview, it consists of people from the Prince George's County TESOL office, as well as members from the University of Maryland faculty. So usually it's myself or one of my colleagues who are very familiar with the program. If you pass the interview process, then I will be contacting you directly with instructions to apply to the University of Maryland. Only those who get direct instructions from me that they have passed the interview can go ahead and apply to the University of Maryland. But the following requirements are things that everyone should think about now. Number 1, to enter this program, again, this is considered a graduate program. You're not getting a full degree. This program is a post-baccalaureate certificate program, meaning that you will get an official post-baccalaureate certificate from the University of Maryland, but that is considered a graduate program nonetheless. So we actually are strict in our admissions requirements because they must align with the University of Maryland's graduate school admissions requirements. So number 1, everyone, of course, must have a bachelor's degree. That's non-negotiable because it's a graduate program. We need a 3.0 out of a 4.0 GPA. Now, for the purpose of the application, we can use unofficial transcripts from your bachelor's degree institution. We do not need official transcripts until you are already accepted into the program, and we need them by the beginning of summer. The other thing that we will need as well, and I stress this heavily, and that is point 3 here, we will need, and again, for the admissions process, unofficial transcripts are fine. If you get accepted and you join us, official transcripts, we'll give you the deadline for that later on, but usually it'll be in summertime. If you have done any graduate work for credit, and if you've done at least 9 credits of graduate work at one institution, maybe you've done 9 credits at 3 different institutions, 9 credits here, 9 credits there, 9 credits at another place, that's fine. We need those transcripts, and this is why it's very important. I always get people emailing me, Dr. Fagan, I have a 2.7 undergrad GPA from 25 years ago, but I've done a lot of graduate work and I have a 4.0. I need that information because I need to know how will you be as a student with your most recent student work. If the rest of your application looks great, but you have that 2.7 undergraduate GPA, I can try to make the argument that this person took 9 credits at Georgetown, 9 credits at UMBC, 9 credits at Howard, did a full master's degree at Trinity, what have you, and they had a 4.0. That can help overcome the undergraduate GPA. So again, undergraduate transcripts are a must. That's non-negotiable for everyone applying. But if you have done graduate work of at least 9 credits at an institution, or of course, those of you who have done full-on master's degrees, of course, we need the entire transcript for that. We must have that information as well. Again, for the application itself, we only need unofficial transcripts. Once you are accepted into the program, then I will give you instructions on how to submit official transcripts to the university. So that's part 1. That's the big part. Part 2, we also need a statement of purpose. Basically, why this program? And unfortunately, saying that, oh, it's an 80% tuition is covered won't help you with the statement of purpose. So again, why this program? Tell us about your future goals and tell us about you. What will you bring to the program? I always tell applicants when I'm working in this program or when I'm working with people who want to go into our master's or even our PhD program, I always say to them, what can we offer you and what can you offer us that's unique to you? So it's a two-way street when we're looking at the statement of purpose. Take that into account as you connect both of those with what your future goals are. So I always say the statement of purpose, think very carefully before you write that. It does not have to be long, but think very carefully before you write that. The university requires 3 letters of recommendation, and here's the great thing. The 2 letters that you're getting from Prince George's, you can use them. We just need 1 extra letter. One of them must be from your principal and or supervisor, just like from Prince George's. But again, the 2 letters that you use for the Prince George's part of the application, you can again use for us. The only issue is you are not allowed to submit them. You must put your recommender's email into the system. The system will contact them directly. They must upload the letter. Applicants are not allowed to upload letters by themselves. So the second you get the email from me that you've made it to the final round and go ahead and apply, I always tell applicants, make sure you contact your recommenders immediately because they need to have their letters in by the deadline. That's unfortunately non-negotiable. Of course, your current resume, you can upload that, the same resume that you're using for Prince George's, you can upload that. And here's something which is a snag. This is considered a less than part-time program. Part-time for graduate work at the University of Maryland is 6 credits per semester. Here, you will only be taking 3 credits per semester, which means that you will be considered less than part-time, which means we are not allowed to offer anyone any type of international visa. So people in this program must be U.S. citizen, have a U.S. passport, or have a permanent resident card. We cannot offer any type of additional visas because it's less than half-time. One final thing, if you are on this call and you did not do any of your prior degrees in the United States. So for example, if you only have your bachelor's degree and your bachelor's degree is from the Philippines, for example, if it's not from the United States, please contact me separately because there is an additional factor that you must take into account for your admissions process. So again, if there's anyone here who did not complete any of their degrees in the United States, please contact me separately because I need to tell you there's an additional admission step that you must do. And unfortunately, that additional step is non-negotiable. If you did your undergraduate degree outside of the United States, but you did a full master's degree in the United States, then that's fine. You do not need to do anything else. You need to have completed 1 full degree in the United States. A post-baccalaureate certificate program is not a full degree. Taking 9 credits out of school is not considered a full degree. So again, if you're in that scenario, there's not an issue, but we do need to talk about an extra step that you will have to do. So overall, here's the timeline for everything from this point towards when you turn in your application. Number 1, today is the information session. So welcome, congratulations, check for number 1. Number 2, January 10th is the deadline for Prince George's County for you to turn in the application to Prince George's County. And that's everything that Kathy just discussed. There's a very quick turnaround. Everyone in the TESOL office for Prince George's reviews those very carefully and very quickly. And you will be notified by January 15th if you are asked to come to the interviews. And you will be asked to schedule your interview time at that moment. The week of January 25th will be the interviews. And the interviews are approximately 20 minutes or so. Plus, at the interview, we also ask you to do a quick writing prompt because we want to see how you can think on your feet at the moment. If you pass the interview, you will be contacted by me directly, and that's going to be the week of February 1st, and I will say, congratulations, you have passed the interview. Here are the instructions to apply to the university. You will have until March 1st, 2021, to submit everything for your application, and that also includes making sure that your letter recommenders also have uploaded their letters. This is a firm deadline. The system shuts down at 12 o'clock midnight, March 2nd, and we cannot reopen it. So if you hear from me February 1st, you basically want to have all of your materials ready to go, so that as soon as you hear from me the week of February 1st, you can automatically apply, upload everything, and turn it in. The sooner, the better for that. Okay, Kathy.
Okay, back to the PGCPS application process. So you want to go to that Google Classroom that's listed there in brackets. It is also listed on the frequently asked questions page that I put in the chat. The applications are due January 10th, as Drew said, and there are no fees at this point in the application process. And Drew kind of went through the process in previous slides, but you fill in the application and we get back to you either saying thank you for your interest or we'd love to learn more about you, and we would invite you to an interview.
And one thing, just to follow up with Kathy on that, you'll see here at the very bottom, you are not paying for anything until you're invited to the final round for applying to the University of Maryland. The only thing that will cost you will be the final official application to the University of Maryland for $75. Up until that point, you're not paying for anything. So just keep that in the back of your mind. Kathy.
Okay, what do I have to do what if I have to leave the program before it ends? So once you make it through phase 1, the PGCPS application process, and phase 2, the interview process, and you're moving on to the point where you are, then you will apply to the University of Maryland, and once your application is accepted in this late spring, early summer, we have an information session, and there will be an MOU that is a memorandum of understanding between yourself as a participant and PGCPS, saying that if you have to leave the program early, you would be required to pay back the 70% tuition that we had already spent on you. You don't have to pay the University of Maryland their 10% back. It's just that 70%. And again, on the frequently asked questions page, we map out pretty clearly what those costs are, so you would have an idea of how much you would owe depending on how many semesters you had completed. This has only happened twice, so that I can think of. And so it's a rare occurrence, but we also realize things happen, and we just want you to know from the beginning what the expectation is if you leave early. And sorry, there's one more piece. I just noticed the final bullet. So after you complete the program is one full school year, July to July. And then in addition to the tuition that you pay for, you would owe the district at least 1 year to stay teaching in the district. So you don't have to be an ESOL teacher, but you have to stay in the county for 1 year. Otherwise, you would also be obliged to pay back the tuition that we spent on the cohort for you.
And just to give everyone an idea of dates with all that, so this program will begin July 2021, this cohort. You will be done with the cohort July 2022, which means that for this criterion from Prince George's, you have got to work at Prince George's throughout the entire 2022-2023 school year.
Thank you.
Oh, here we are. There we go. So, yep, right here, 2022, 2023. So, okay, so this is a question we always get, and this was also on the frequently asked questions website, but I'll just reiterate this. Will I be a certified ESOL teacher after finishing this program? The program itself does not give you your add-on endorsement in ESOL. And just as a clarification, this program is in no way an initial teacher certification program. So hopefully everyone who's on here has already an initial certification in another area. If you don't, this program will not help you towards that. This program will help you towards your add-on endorsement in ESOL, but the program itself will not give you the add-on endorsement. So you only become certified in ESOL with your add-on endorsement after passing the Praxis 2 test, which our program does prepare you for. And so far, every single person from our program that has completed the program has passed the ESOL Praxis 2, I believe, Kathy, on the first time. I can't think of anyone who hasn't passed on the first time who's taken it.
There's a couple people, but they are the exceptions.
Okay. The majority of people, after taking this program, we always tell people do not take the Praxis in ESOL until after the last course. So after you've taken the assessment course, then register to take it. And Kathy, I don't know if you want to focus on the second bullet point.
So I do, because I've been working with, so our cohort 3 finished in July, and I've been working with them, giving them gentle reminders because they had 6 months to complete the Praxis. And as annoying as it is to keep getting email reminders from me about it, you have such an advantage by taking that Praxis within the 6 months, because that information is fresh in your mind. We currently have 79% of cohort 3 has passed the Praxis as of right now.
Wow, that's great.
Everyone else is scheduled to take it. So I send out reminders starting in August of, look at the Praxis exam, test dates, and pick a date. If something comes up and there is no way you can take it in that 6-month time frame, then I can work with you. But really, you're putting yourself at a disadvantage by waiting longer to take the Praxis. That's just what I've found in my experience. So, plus we want you to be ESOL certified. Our ESOL job fair happens in February. So if you take that praxis by the end of December, then you're certified and ready to go interview if you are interested in being an ESOL teacher. So there's a couple of advantages for it. So yeah, that's it in a nutshell.
And just as a quick clarification, taking the praxis is completely separate from the University of Maryland requirements. So in the past, I've had a couple of people ask me, so Dr. Fagan, when do I have to take the praxis in order to finish the program? You finishing the program and taking the praxis are not connected at all. So you will receive your post-baccalaureate certificate from the University of Maryland. I believe the current cohort 3 received it late September, because they all technically graduated in August. So the Praxis 2 is a Prince George's County requirement. It is not a University of Maryland requirement. So just so everyone's clear, anyone who has any questions about when to take the Praxis 2, how to go about taking the Praxis 2, those questions should be directed to Kathy as the representative from Prince George's County. Again, Praxis 2 is not a requirement for finishing the University of Maryland requirements for the post-baccalaureate certificate.
And I just want to say one more thing about praxis, that you take the praxis, you pass it, I celebrate with you, but you still need to connect with certification, because they don't automatically update your teaching certificate. They might, but historically we never rely on that. So when you let me know that you passed the praxis, I'm going to follow up and remind you to follow up with certification. So, and someone did ask if a TESOL certificate is only relevant for the grade you're certified to teach. And I just wanted to clarify that the TESOL, if you pass the Praxis 2, TESOL is a K-12 certification. So it doesn't matter what your initial certification is, you can teach K-12 in TESOL.
So another common question that we get is, well, what if I want to continue on for a master's in TESOL? Well, we created this post-baccalaureate certificate program utilizing courses from our Masters of Education in TESOL already in existence at the University of Maryland. So yes, you can continue on to a master's, but it's a completely separate applications process. You have to go through a separate admissions process to do that. The 12 credits that you will complete in this program, if you are accepted into the master's program, and there's no guarantee that just because you get accepted to our post-baccalaureate certificate program that you will be accepted to the master's program, but if you do get accepted into the master's program, the 12 credits from this certificate program automatically will transfer into our master's in TESOL program. Only the master's in TESOL, not another program, and not a TESOL program outside of College Park. That means that for our 30 credit master's program, you only have to take the remaining 18 credits, and there is a time limit. But Prince George's County and University of Maryland has had a new agreement. We will be hosting a master's cohort for people who have finished the post-baccalaureate certificate program. We actually already have a cohort right now for the master's program for those who completed cohorts 1 and 2 of the post-baccalaureate certificate program. All those people have already completed 12 credits from the post-baccalaureate certificate. They are now finishing the remaining 18 credits, and they are actually slated to finish the whole master's program this upcoming May. We will be doing that again with people from the post-baccalaureate certificate program cohorts 3, 4, and 5. So those of you who are interested in pursuing a master's in TESOL beyond just these 12 credits, we will be doing a special outreach off-campus cohort program where, again, for the master's program, of which we will transfer these 12 credits in, 80% of your tuition will also be paid for you to finish the remaining 18 credits towards your master's. So that is something we will be doing. Again, the current group from cohorts 1 and 2 of the certificate program are almost done with their master's program now, and then the new master's program will begin actually almost immediately after you are all done with the post-baccalaureate certificate. So you all graduate from the certificate program if you get in August 2022. The master's cohort that you would be part of would be beginning immediately September 2022. So if you're interested in that, you can talk with us a little bit about that later. So as we begin to wrap up here, we can see that, just to reiterate, the two deadlines that you need to think about. The Prince George's County deadline for the first part of admissions is January 10th, 2021. And you have all the information here of what needs to be done. And then the University of Maryland final deadline, again, only if you receive notification the week of February 1st to proceed. Do not proceed with applying until you get notification from me. That deadline will be March 1st. And all of this information, again, is on our frequently asked questions website, which is right here, bit.ly/capital TESOL FAQ. And again, all questions, please direct to Kathy and myself. Kathy will be addressing all of the Prince George's focus questions. So any questions about the initial part of the application process, any questions regarding Praxis 2, any questions regarding potentially having to leave the program early or staying in Prince George's County for the year after you finish the program, please direct all of those to Kathy. Questions about the actual 4 courses, questions about the University of Maryland portion of the application, please direct those to me. And I can tell you right now, yes, I can get voicemail via my phone number, but the best way in our COVID world is to email me, because I've stepped foot in my office only once in the past 9 months. So the best way to contact me is actually via email. Kathy, I'm not sure for you what's best, phone number or email.
Email. You can leave a message at that phone number, but email is something I check constantly.
Okay. All right. So this is the end of our PowerPoint session. It's 5:50. We have approximately 10 minutes. Questions? John, can you help us?
Definitely. We have a few questions. The first question, you may have answered some of these already, but it's nice to get everyone on the same page with this. So the first question is, how do you sign up for these courses? Do I already need to be a UMD student and or apply to UMD?
So yes, you must apply through the process that we just said. So you cannot just register for the courses. You must be actually accepted formally into the cohort and into the university. So you cannot just apply randomly to these courses. So you have to go through step 1, which is apply to Prince George's. If you pass step 1, then you'll go to the interview. If you pass the interview, then you will apply to the University of Maryland, and then you will get your notification if you're accepted to the University of Maryland or not. Everyone who gets accepted into this program, you must take the courses when they are offered to your cohort. This is one of the snags about being in a cohort program. Unlike being on campus, where you can take a course here, then you might take a semester off, and then you can take a course there, or maybe you withdraw from a course and you'll take it the following year. You cannot do that with a cohort program. You must take the course when it is offered to your cohort. So second language acquisition must be taken next summer. Methods must be taken after that. Biliteracy must be taken after that. Assessment must be taken summer 2022. That is required for you. However, you do not have to worry about registering. Once you're in the program and you're in the cohort, our Office of Student Services handles all registrations. Our Office of Student Services will handle getting the money from Prince George's and getting the money from our department, and they will be the ones contacting you directly to get your portion of the tuition. So the Office of Student Services will be handling all of that for you.
All right, thank you. The second question we have is, can the 2-year seniority requirement be reconsidered?
Kathy.
Oh, and we have made exceptions to that rule. Really, it depends on how many people apply to the program, because if we have a ton of people, we would give preference to people who have the 2 years of experience.
Thank you, Kathy. The next question, after successful completion of the program, how do we become licensed or certified ESOL teachers?
I believe we went over that already regarding the Praxis 2.
Yes.
If you need further information about that, you can refer to our FAQ website, which is right here, bit.ly/TESOL FAQ. And if you need further information, please contact Kathy.
Okay. The next question, what about if the bachelor degree was conferred abroad, but the master's was gotten from the U.S. university? Will the bachelor's degree transcript still be required?
Yes, they will. That we have to have proof, official proof that you've completed a bachelor's. Even if you can show us all the information from your master's, technically we still need the proof from the bachelor's, so we will need that. And if you did get your bachelor's degree outside the United States, you're going to have to contact me. I will have to put you in touch with the admissions office so that they can tell you how to have it translated accordingly. But if you've already completed a master's degree in the United States, most likely you've already done that, and hopefully you have copies of that. That would make things much smoother to proceed. We've had some people in the past do that, and they had extra copies from when they applied to their master's program in the US. So hopefully you have that. But you can contact me directly, dfagan@umd.edu, and we can talk more specifically about that.
Okay. The next question, is the program offered every year? I have a Fulbright next summer, but I don't know if it will be postponed again because of COVID.
Currently, we are in talks for extending it beyond cohort 5. It might be, but I can tell you right now, currently the agreement is only for 5 cohorts. So you're going to have to make the decision, unfortunately. As of right now, we do not know if there will be another cohort after cohort 5 at this point.
And the last question I have is regarding why basic Spanish is not a part of the curriculum, knowing that serving dominant Latino populations in Maryland.
Oh, that's a great question, because TESOL and Spanish are completely different fields, and not every English learner is a Spanish learner. I've realized that learning basic Spanish is good for some students, but that's not going to help your Haitian Creole student or your Urdu student. So what we do in this program is we actually provide you with the tools, techniques, and theoretical and research background in order to be able to address all of your English learners, including your Spanish-speaking learners. So that's the purpose of the TESOL program, is really to be able to focus on how to address all of your English learners' linguistic, cultural, and academic needs. And that includes going above and beyond just your Spanish speakers as well.
Okay, we just had a couple more questions, but I think they're being answered. Can we go back to the contact information slide?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you. And then someone asked if we can upload the letters of recommendation ourselves to the PGCPS application. And Kathy, that's for you.
Yes. In fact, you will be the only one who can upload them. So you'll have to have your letters of recommendation sent to you, and you will upload them to the Google Classroom.
And let me see if there are any new questions. Sorry. There was one that was very specific, but Kathy, I think you gave them your contact information for that question. Yes. Okay.
John, did I see that there was a quick question maybe in the chat with regards to the statement of purpose about page numbers? Something flashed quickly on my screen.
Oh, I didn't. Maybe that was a private message. I didn't see.
Yes. Is there anything in the chat?
I don't.
Oh, to me. Yes, it was a question to me. Here we go. Thank Indica. How many pages are word limit for the statement of purpose? Indica, that varies. On average, it's usually about 2 to 3 pages, double spaced. For some people, it's a little longer. For some people, it's slightly short. Usually, it's not short. Some people, it's a little longer. You want to keep it concise and to the point, but you still want to be able to provide a little bit of detail. I know that's not very specific, but the statement of purpose is It can vary, but on average, it's about two to three. Oh, I'm happy I said your name correctly. Thank you.
We have another question that just came in. Do we still need to ask for recommendations now? Oh, sorry, one before that. I have a transcript from another country already evaluated from the World Education Services. Will I need to reevaluate, or can I submit copies?
For that, copies are sufficient for the application, but you will need official documentation for after you get accepted to the program. Again, if you contact me, I can put you in contact with the people at the admissions office who can give you more specific details. And again, for anyone who has mentioned that, I believe the earlier person mentioned that they had their undergraduate degree elsewhere, but their graduate degree was in the United States. That's perfectly fine. Again, anyone who did not complete any degree in the United States, please don't forget to contact me so I can tell you what the extra step is that you have to do.
And another question, do we still need to ask for recommendations now that we are not sure if we will be selected? Also, will we need to ask people to write them twice since they're being sent to two different places?
I always suggest to people, regardless of which program you're going in, this program or a master's program or a doctoral program, to contact the people that you want to write, just to let them know that you're interested in this program, that you're planning on applying now. That way, when you contact them, it won't be a surprise and they won't be overburdened and say, I have no time. So I highly recommend that you do contact them now. Here's the great thing. You want them to write up the form that you'll be sending to Prince George's specifically. They'll be writing up the actual letter. Just have them save it. Once you are confirmed to be applying to the University of Maryland, and you put in their email address into the University of Maryland system, and the system contacts them, they just have to go to that letter and just upload it. They don't have to rewrite it. So they just have to upload the letter that they already created from you for that. So no, they don't have to write it twice.
Thank you. That's the last question that I currently see. Any other questions from anyone?
I think someone just tried to send me a chat again, and unfortunately it disappeared, and because I'm looking at the PowerPoint, I can't get it. If you could send that question to John right now in the Q&A.
I see one that says, is a teacher with conditional certification able to apply? And I actually don't know the answer to that. If you could email me, I'm not familiar with conditional certification and what the parameters are. And so I would need to investigate more about that before I could answer your question. I also had a question about the 2 years of experience. Do they have to be in PGCPS? If you have experience outside the school system, we could consider that part of the 2 years experience as well. And someone else had asked, if you're already ESOL certified, will that be highly considered? And to that, I would answer, we would just need to interview you. We don't give preference to ESOL teachers. We look at all the candidates equally and determine the best fit from our program between the application and the interview process.
One thing which I just want to follow up with that on, because this is only a 12-credit program, you are not allowed to transfer in any credits. So those of you who actually have gone through a TESOL master's program already, this actually isn't the program for you. I will say that right now. If you've done a full-fledged TESOL master's program, most likely you've already taken second language acquisition and assessment, all of those, and we cannot accept any transfer credits as well. So if you've already gone through programs and have basically taken these courses, then this probably isn't the best fit for you. And we really want to be able to hone in on people who have not taken these courses. And that could be an ESOL teacher who became an ESOL teacher via praxis only, for example. Those people absolutely come on in. If you haven't had any formal graduate training in TESOL, absolutely, we welcome you very much. But I have gotten this question almost every year that we've had this program. We do not accept any transfer credits for this. You are coming in as a cohort, part of a cohort program, and you will take all 4 courses together.
All right, well, if we did not answer your question by any chance, you have our contact information and you should feel free to email Drew or myself. And I hope to see many of your applications in our queue and to meet some of you in person during the application interviews.
Absolutely. Thank you all for attending tonight. Sorry we weren't able to see everyone. I know whenever we do this, it's always nice to be face to face with people, whether we're meeting with people at High Point or Oxon Hill or wherever, what we've done in the past. Sorry we weren't able to see you all face to face, but we definitely look forward to getting all of your information. Thank you all. I'm seeing all of your messages come in. Thank you so much for attending. And again, any questions, please feel free to contact us. Again, Prince George's County specific questions, contact Kathy. University of Maryland specific questions, please contact me. So everyone, have a wonderful evening. Have a very safe Thanksgiving next week. I hope you all have a wonderful, safe Thanksgiving next week. And we look forward to receiving your materials in the new year. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Take care.